I'm Jainti Grebin, Senior Business Development Manager for Cell and Gene Therapy for CPC, and I'm here to talk to you about big solutions come in small packages. First, I want to talk to you about who we are, who CPC is. CPC, also known as Calder Product Company, is part of a Dover corporation. CPC was established in 1978 and purchased by Dover in 2005. CPC has 40 plus years of connected technology, and that is all we do is connectors for industrial, for liquid cooling, for medical, and of course, for biopharm industries. We are the biggest single-use aseptic connector producer and still growing with the current market growth. We are in this space and manufacturing in 2 clean rooms, ISO 7 clean rooms, and one is a redundant clean room for CPC. As you can see in this picture, we moved to a brand new building last year in Roseville, Minnesota, and accommodating not only the expansion of the clean room, but expanding team of engineers to keep innovating our single-use products to meet the market needs. So let's jump in. Small volume fluid transfer in cell and gene therapy process. But before we start talking about this topic, I want you to think about a few things that are your top concern in liquid transfer, in product transfer in manufacturing. What are the things that keep you up at night? Is it sterility of your process, the reliability of your product, the time it takes for manufacturing, the efficiency of your process, and could be the overall cost of your project. These are a couple things that I have been told by customers that they think about as they work through their processes. And why is small volume transfer essential in this advanced therapy? It's due to what we're working with, the increased development in personalized medicine. This is really critical requirement, especially when we are working with precious patient cells. As large pharma is looking to scaling up, therapeutics medicine is still needing that small volume processes, transferring small volume of materials. Scale out and automation has been kind of like the industry terminology that's been discussed in this market, because patient cells are so important that every drop counts. So treatment like this are patients' last resort. So we need to pay particular attention to making sure that the product and the process that we use for this manufacturing is going to be something that's everlasting and keeping patients safe. So cell and gene editing technology, example, like an autologous treatment, like I'm showing on this slide here, needs to be efficient, ease of use, less risky, faster, and with very little variation for transferring cells out of patient and into the patient. So current state of how the technology is being used, it requires manual manipulation between steps. Skilled operators are utilizing the laminar flow hood to maintain sterility. So they're working in and out, making sure that they are producing sterile products, which is a very manual process. And it could be efficient in a research and development point of view, but when you're thinking about how can I scale out or how can I go to GMP manufacturing, it's a difficult task to try to maintain throughout the process. The other current state that is being used in this manufacturing is tube welding. And as we know, tube welding can be costly and inconsistent. And again, I go back to the term that it's also another manual process. You need extra tubing, you need a large, a little bit more clean room space, just because you have the tubing on a cart. If you're able to move, if you're looking to move your tube welder around, and even if you're looking at a more stable tube welder, it's going to be, you need extra space for it. And again, go back to skilled labor. We need to train our operators. So therefore you need skilled labor in order to do proper tube welding to make sure it doesn't leak and the seal is done well. On the other side is you're looking at another piece of equipment. You need equipment validation. It could go under for maintenance. It could shut down. It needs repairs. You have downtime with this piece of equipment. You got to make sure that you keep all the validation paperwork up to date when you're working with a piece of equipment, such as a tube welder. So what CPC did is we went out and we asked customers, what is your requirement when you're looking for that small flow application? These are some of the feedback we got from the customers. They needed small format, aseptic type, closed sterile connection, so they don't have to keep going in and out of the hood. They wanted to simplify production. I need to reduce total time for making sure that I am connecting my systems together. I need to reduce my extra tubing. I'm having dead leg of products in my tubing that is not getting to my final process. And overall, just eliminating another extra piece of equipment that I need to lug around as I'm going through my process. So with that, CPC came out with our MicroConnect. So we're introducing our MicroConnect series connectors. It's a small format, single-use connector, and you will find that you will save time, money, and effort with this MicroConnect connector. And when we say how small it is, it's talking about something that can fit in the palm of your hands. It's robust, it's reliable, it's repeatable. Once your operators know how to put them together, there's nothing much to it to just keep constantly doing a repeatable type of process. Again, I can't tell you enough how efficient, easy to use, and how safe you feel about using these connectors. So it's a less risky solution. And when I keep saying, the connectors are easy to use, it's a matter of just pinch, click, pull. These are the terminologies that you're going to see CPC or any of the application engineers that you're working with as they're training you. And what does that mean? Is when you pinch, you're pinching the protective cover. It's a teal cover on the connector that you'll be pinching off from the connector, and that exposes and that will allow you to actually have the connector. At this point, you still have a strip of what we call a membrane. You bring the two halves together, just ensuring that the two halves of the membrane are pointing downwards, or they're pointing at the same spot together. And when you join the two halves together, you will hear the colder click, or the CPC click. And then finally, as you bring them together, you will pull both those membrane strips directly away from the connector. And within seconds, you have a sterile connection process for your manufacturing process as you bring unit process together. So MicroConnects, one of the features here is, it's the pinch, click, pull feature. It's easy to use. I explained it in a few seconds how you can put these things together. One of the other feature that the connector has is what we call a genderless connector. The both halves are the exact same, so you don't have to rummage through to find which, if you're doing a male and a female, you don't have to rummage to try to make sure that you are going to be able to have a secure connection. And the sizes that these connectors come in are 1/16 inch ID tubing, 3/32 inch ID tubing, and 1/8 inch hose bob. So they can fit into those 1/16, 3/32, and 1/8 inch ID tubing. Again, the benefits are 3-step processes. and they are audible. You can hear that audible click to ensure that you got that secure connection, and you no need of any additional hardware for this connector to make that connection. The operating conditions for the connector are, as I say, very similar to our other aseptic connectors that CPC produces. So not a lot of variation there. The pressures are up to 65 psi. The operating temperatures are between 34 to 104 degrees. And it's made out of the same components as the aseptic quicks. So it's the polycarbonate, the seals are made out of the silicone seal. And then the only other difference you'll see is that there's this protective cover that's made out of polypropylene. Again, you have one other simple use of this connector is one style of connector. You're able to gamma irradiate it or autoclave it. So you don't need to have two different type of materials to be able to do the both style of sterilization. So what CPC has done is we have tested the connector so that you don't have to, and you can ensure with getting a validation report from us that it has been pressure tested, burst tested, tensile test tested, and side load tested. These testing are done so that if you are putting the connectors in a position where there's a possibility of there's a tubing hanging out of this connector, things like that, that you are able to make sure that it has been tested through all the mechanical testing. We also went to the extra step of doing BPOG extractables testing, so nothing ingresses from at least nothing extractable is going into your product, and these are freeze-thawed as well to ensure that this product can go down to minus 80 degrees C. And then lastly, the whole thing about sterile connectors is you want to make sure that there's no ingression, no bacterial ingression into your process. So we've done the dip testing and the submersion test, and you can get all of this in the validation package. Some of the examples of how microconnectors can be used is similar as the aseptic quicks. You can, as you're scaling up your processes, you can have it on a wave reactor, or if you're looking at a bottle media connection into a wave corrections, or you could have it in your G-Rex, so any of the smaller tabletop type bioreactors. We're looking at also, as you get your tube sets put together, your manifolds together, you can have it, if you're looking at, again, we talked about small volume, if you're looking at for a syringe mixer, or you're transferring from one process to another via pump, or you can do, as I mentioned, manifold assemblies as well with the connector. So from the time that I have been talking is actually a little bit more than 15 minutes, but so the time has been talking, you could have made 90 or more microconnectors connection right now. So just the matter of me, as we're just talking through it, this is going to be really critical as we, especially in the freeze thaw cycle, because a lot of times you need to transfer the cells really quickly from one process to another. You can learn a lot about our microconnectors, and we also added a special sampling box as well that you can ask any of our application, our inside sales folks, or you can go into our website, which is endofthewell.com, and request one of our sample boxes, or any of our samples with the connectors. So with that, I hope if there's any questions, please leave it on the chat, and hope to connect with you with CPC products. Thank you.